Beyond.
Welcome to Podcast Beyond, episode 429. I'm Max Scoville. Joining me, Marty Sleva.
Hey, how's it going?
Andrew Goldfarb.
Hey, what's up?
And Brian Altano's not here because he went to get a soda, and we started the show without him. So he's
gonna come in and say something horrible now.
He's gonna be so mad. He's gonna be so worked up and so upset. But he won't be doing that stupid Beyond shouting thing. So sorry, Brian. Screw you. Sometimes the trains leave the station without you. I don't care if you're on the train or not.
Yeah, he was complaining about us starting 15 minutes late, and then all of a sudden, like, we're about to hit record. He's like, I want to go get a Red Bull.
Yeah.
Teresa.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, Brian will be joining us shortly. We got a lot of great stuff to talk about. One thing that I know Brian really wants to talk about is Lego Episode 7 got announced this morning. It got sort of leaked, and then an hour later it became official. It is exactly what it sounds like. It's Star Wars The Force Awakens, but in Lego form.
And that trailer's so good. They did, so it's like they redid the original teaser for Episode 7, which is also this thing Disney Infinity did, but this is so much better than the way Disney Infinity did it. This one was really just charming, and I like it a lot.
Yeah, it looks great. It's interesting that, like, we are still going to see these standalone Lego games, even though we live in a Lego Dimensions world. So we're still going to see stuff like, obviously, we had Lego Marvel Avengers just came out, and we have this. Brian, we already started the show.
Oh, thanks, man.
Some friends I have.
Beyond.
Welcome to the Podcast Beyond.
Beyond.
Stop. Yeah, you can't silence the passion. It's that PlayStation passion right there.
Shut up. Awful.
No, we're talking about Lego Star Wars.
Lego Star Wars.
What? How much did I miss?
It's been an hour. Show's almost over.
I'm 90 years old. My whole life is gone.
No, Marty was making the point that we still see standalone games despite Lego Dimensions. And we were talking about this earlier. It's crazy that there's no Disney stuff in Lego Dimensions at all so far. It seems like they might be just keeping Marvel and Star Wars just totally separate, I guess.
Yeah. Well, I bet there were a lot of meetings about this.
Yeah.
Because I mean, this is WB Games is publishing this. That's sort of an odd thing because we do still have Disney Interactive, but there are also a ton of Star Wars Legos still because I think Lego they are the most profitable toy maker in the world. Star Wars is one of their most successful licenses. Sure. Actually, I think that is what saved them. There's a Lego documentary on Netflix or something that has some interesting information about them. But like, there was a point in the mid '90s when Lego was like just about to go under. Like they were doing real badly.
Was it when they weren't like affiliated with giant brands like Star Wars?
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. And Star Wars was the first brand they got, and then from there they got, I don't know, Jurassic Park 3 and Spider-Man, and SpongeBob, and then suddenly
Indiana Jones.
But that's what's so interesting is that stuff does predate the EA Star Wars stuff. And that's really interesting because it makes me wonder, we were talking about this today, like maybe that's why they can't be, like if they renegotiate that stuff to put them in Lego Dimensions, maybe that reverts stuff back to EA or there's certain licensing things that they can't, like they're grandfathered in basically. I don't know, it's a really interesting situation. Like I think that the fact that we still get Lego Star Wars games makes me really happy because I really like that world.
And it's weird because I didn't even think of that as a solution to that puzzle the other day when they were like, hey guys, we have a big announcement. It's two of the biggest brands in the world coming together. Well, I'm like, what are they doing?
They teased it by saying that two of the biggest entertainment brands.
Yeah.
And to me, like, Lego isn't really an entertainment brand. They're a toy brand.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, that seemed like kind of I was thinking it was going to be... I was thinking it was going to be like a Batman Superman.
I thought Batman. I thought it might be a Mortal Kombat thing
because we didn't know. Obviously, when they say WB Interactive, it's not like we know it's going to be Lego. So it's like we were all thinking, WB Montreal, who made Batman Arkham Origins, has been rumored forever to be doing a Justice League game. So we assumed it was that.
We also thought Lego American Sniper.
Yeah, Lego American Sniper.
Lego The Blind Side.
Yeah, you guys looked up their highest grossing films, right?
Yeah.
And honestly, like what we got out of it is probably the best possible scenario we could have possibly gotten. Like there's very few times a year, especially because of what we do with our jobs, where I get like actual surprises. And I was just sitting there last night, and that news came in because it leaked, and I was like, "Holy!"
Yeah, that's
like
cool.
this. We're finally getting the Force Awakens video game. That
You've been wanting that. Like you were griping about how you were thinking about replaying the original trilogy one.
I actually just did. I replayed the original trilogy recently, and then I bought it again on consoles.
Nice.
I was playing it on a handheld.
So one of the things I find weird, this game's coming out in June. The other Star Wars games had the trilogies. Like one was a prequel game, one was the good trilogy game, and then one was a Clone Wars game.
Well, so
but like, this is just going to have one movie.
Yeah,
no,
and
it's gonna have some bridging the gap stuff.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
and there's also that PlayStation content they announced today. Like there's a good amount of stuff.
Yeah. So the way it worked was they did the original trilogy game, and then they also did a prequels game, and then they combined it as one
complete
big
saga.
game,
Yeah.
which is like honestly, as much as they put into this game that pads out backstory and then also lets you play through, because I already saw a bunch of screens on the PlayStation Store for the first area in the game, which is where Poe Dameron meets with old man with the long name.
Oh, and Max von Sydow.
Chicken tikka masala or whatever.
Yeah, chicken tikka masala.
Chicken tikka masala, my favorite sauce.
And Phasma shows up and shoots people and stuff like that. And John Boyega gets real stressed about it.
Chef Boyardee's there.
Chef Boyardee.
Chef Boyardee.
So obviously you'll get to play through that first scene. You'll get to play through the entire film. They'll add a bunch of backstory stuff. One of the things I saw that was really fascinating was on PlayStation there's an exclusive level called the Phantom Limb, starring Red Arm C-3PO, which I believe is going to explain the backstory. Because there's that part in the movie where he's like, "Oh, you didn't recognize me. I've got a red arm. Oh, it's such a funny tale." And Han's like, "Get out of the way, you dumb droid."
It's one of my favorite scenes.
I want to kiss my wife.
I love that scene so much because we were totally like that whole scene was a setup for a really corny joke.
Yep.
Yeah.
And we were looking at advanced photos and we're like, oh my God, 3PO's got a red arm.
Right.
Let's break it down. Why could he have a red arm? Maybe something bad's happened. This says a lot about the state of the resistance. And it's just like,
no, this is all.
I have a red arm. You didn't recognize me.
Hello. But what I love about it is it further kind of moves that back and forth volley that's been happening between J.J. Abrams and Kojima, where they met a few times, they autographed each other's products and stuff like that.
One of the
there's a red arm in Phantom Pain on Snake, and then there's the same thing in one of the aliens in Force Awakens. Says Kojima.
Yeah, it's like, all right,
it's great.
This is weird.
So now this is called the Phantom Limb, but back to what I was saying, as much as the story they can pad in the background and all the stuff that they do for Force Awakens, it's never going to compare to the amount of content that was in Lego Star Wars proper, because there are 6 movies worth of stuff in there. And like, look, I don't like the prequels. They're really fun to play as Lego levels. Like, and I don't care.
Totally.
You know, because it's just like I get to fight General Grievous as you know a C-3PO if I want to.
I think that there's easily, like, if you look at how they used to take like old video games, or you know, like look at the Super Star Wars games. You know, if you are like, hey, what's the rest of Cloud City like, and why would you fight dozens of Ugnaughts? I don't know, but you know what? Let's do it. Let's beat up some Ugnaughts. Let's have a whole side mission where you've got to collect all of 3PO's limbs as Chewie or something.
Goldfarb and I were just joking about that the other day, about how the Lego games will take a scene that's like half a second in the movie and turn it into a whole stage.
Lego Marvel's Avengers did that so
it's
much.
Like Lego Jurassic
like a
World.
quick escape sequence that you spend 2 hours like.
Well, the scene in Jurassic Park where they're like, shoot her! They turned it into an entire level on how to like turn on that dinosaur paddock or whatever. You have to find a key and all this stuff.
No, I love that.
I love
stuff. It's great. So if they do that with Force Awakens, I'm totally cool with it. If we get, we're gonna get to run around Maz Kanata's castle. We're gonna
as
get
Maz
to go,
Kanata.
Yeah, we're gonna get to go inside. There's the Hapabore, that big disgusting pig animal that Finn drinks his water. And
yeah,
then
the one.
A big shot of its butthole. You can go to see an IMAX movie. It looks right up the animal's ass. right at a huge.
But so that's
big
the thing. Like, I mean,
butt crack.
We just got Lego Marvel's Avengers right, like a week ago. So this definitely feels too soon for something like this. But on the flip side, like, most of the fun in those games is not so much beating the levels, but unlocking all the characters. And that game starts to get into some really deep cut Marvel characters that I don't care about, like Squirrel Girls, when you start to lose me. But for some reason, those laws don't apply to me when you're like, hey, you unlock the Hask trio. They're the wolf boys from Maz Kanata's
3 werewolves with little pants? Oh, boy.
I mean, my weird thing is, like, it does feel too soon compared to Lego Marvel, especially because they're doing it in summer instead of in fall like they normally do. But it's also like, man, I want that game right now. Like, while I'm still in like the and like it'll be around the Blu-ray release hopefully. But like,
so perfect. That's gonna sell like hotcakes for Christmas. Like,
but man, I wish I could play it now.
Also, now you can finally play as who's that man you love, Count Zubios?
Constable Zubio.
Constable Zubio's in it. Captain Nathano's going to be in it. That snitch from the Maz Kanata's castle. That lady who's dressed like a court jester.
But was it? I'm going to sit here trying to think about it. Bazine Natal. Which is cool.
Snitch Mitchins is her name.
There's that. There's the robot that looks like an old microphone that starts whistling to itself.
So I actually like to devil's advocate what I just said. I actually don't think it's too soon to the game we just got announced last week, because I, as a guy who plays and loves all of the Lego games, or for the most part, I realize that the ones that I like the most are the ones where I'm a fan of the source material first. I'm not big on Pirates of the Caribbean or The Hobbit or Lord of the Rings in general, but I bought all those games because I'm like, I love Lego games. And to me, like, the hook of unlocking characters that I don't like, they were like, oh, you unlocked like the 70th pirate in this movie. I'm like, I don't know this guy.
You unlocked the lady from Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I don't care about that. But when you tell me I unlocked, like Finn in like his snow jacket or whatever. I'm like, cool.
LOS.
Well, that's like the big thing about Lego Dimensions. It's like it's as much the things you care about you're gonna like when you get to Ninjago.
Like in Lego Dimensions, I love the Portal levels and the Simpson levels, and then I got to Ninjago and Doctor Who, and I'm just like, you've lost me.
I'm also like really geeking out because I have Ray's Speeder, the Lego kit, and my wife got me the new Millennium Falcon with like old Han and Chewbacca, and like it's just an awesome build. So I have a Lego Millennium Falcon in my apartment now. So I was just like geeking out looking at it last night as that trailer came in.
So I had this
a good time.
This weird thing happened to me, and this is like a real stupid problem to have. I was kind of building up a Lego Star Wars collection. I was like, I'm going to get that Jabba's Palace. I got that stupid disposable income. I'll have a Lego room someday. And then someday I'll have all these cool kids to give to cool toys to give to my hypothetical children, and then get mad at them for losing pieces or whatever.
Yep.
But a friend of mine was moving, and she's like...
very Will Ferrell at the end of the Lego movie thing.
very hardcore collector, has like so much of the Lego sets. And she was like, hey, so I'm moving. I don't have anywhere to put these. You got a house. You got room for these. Do you want these like Star Wars Lego sets? And you can just play with them, do whatever you want, put them together. And I was like, yeah, that sounds awesome. And she shows up with like just boxes of like the Collector's Series R2-D2, the big ass X-Wing, the Rancor pit, the Falcon, just like tons and tons of Star Wars Legos.
I'm so jealous of that Rancor pit and the Jabba's Palace are my two like most sought after kits.
They're pretty cool, but they're all half assembled in like bags. And it's that feeling of like, are these assembled or are they? Where do I start here?
Yeah.
And it just became overwhelming. And I was like, I have to assemble IKEA furniture. Like I have to put my actual adult house together before I can start populating it with Star Wars ships.
That sounds like an absolute nightmare.
I put all that stuff in a box, and it gives me this weird, like when they're like there's that old really bad way of parenting kids if you catch them smoking cigarettes. You're like, all right, time to smoke the whole pack, and then they throw up. It's basically that with Lego. So I go to Toys R Us or whatever, and I go to the Lego section. I'm like, ooh, I like that one. I don't want it. I don't want that.
I love the idea that you just throw up in the middle of the aisle.
Yeah, I was crying and getting twitching.
So every week on Max and I's other show up at noon, we bring toys into the studio and put them down on the set. And sorry for the tangent, but I was walking into the studio here at IGN with Ray's Speeder, the Lego kit, and it fell out of my hand and hit the floor, and 11 pieces flew off of it. And I picked them all up, and I looked at it like, I got to tear the whole thing down and start back up from the beginning. Because like, I don't know how to process. I don't know how to this part, that was step 9 out of 60, and it's over here now, and I don't, it doesn't work. Your brain doesn't work that way. Yeah. So build furniture instead. Yep. But yeah, this game looks awesome. I'm super excited about it. When's it out?
June. End of June. After E3.
Yep, right after E3.
That sounds like a really good summer game.
Yes.
Totally cute little game to play.
Yeah.
Oh, that's such a nice thing to like come back right after E3 and just play through the Force Awakens. That sounds wonderful.
Yeah, we should play some co-op.
We can do
I'm
that.
down. I'm super down.
Final Fantasy 15 is coming out sometime, maybe, probably.
It is.
And some pals of ours, Greg Miller and Tim Geddes, are going to be announcing that at a big Final Fantasy 15 release date announcement on March 30th.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for Greg and Tim. I think that's really cool. I think the concept of announcing the date when you're gonna announce a date is really dumb. I think that's a really weird practice.
You know what's weird? Like there was a couple years where that was common, and I feel like the backlash against it was so palpable that people stopped doing it, and then Square was like, "Not us."
I feel like it's almost like this game and The Last Guardian and maybe Half-Life 3 are like the three games that get passes for this sort of stuff.
I mean, that's true. Like it is a big, and it is nice that at least we know. Like it's like there's so many other things we're waiting for dates on where it's like, okay, like we hope we get them at this event, and then it doesn't happen. It's like PSVR. Like we keep waiting for like when are we going to get the price and date, and every press conference comes and goes, and we don't get it.
Well, it's always like it used to just be a game would come out and you go to the store and buy it, and now it's like, okay, so now we're gonna do a countdown to the release date teaser website trailer,
with
which leads
a
to another
30-day
countdown
pre-order bonus,
which will let you know
thing.
when you can pre-order it, and the pre-orders start on this date, but then the release date's on this date. And it's like now every game, it's like 7 events.
You need like a master's degree to understand like, when is this game coming out.
Yeah, I mean, this is the kind of thing you drop 3 screenshots and people are going to tear them apart for hours. Like, it's just enough anticipation there that there's.
And I mean, that said, like. This event itself, I think, will be really cool. It's open to the public. That's rad. I think it's really cool that people can come out. It's in LA. It's not in Tokyo. It's a Western event, which is cool. I'm sure, obviously.
We're gonna have a lot of cool stuff like backwards hats and skateboards and pizza.
All the skateboards,
electric guitars, all the stuff American teens are hot on.
Yep, trench coats.
Hey, I think Japanese teens like all of those as well.
No, they don't.
Okay.
They like
they
like charms for their cell phones, and they like the dancing games.
I think obviously Greg and Tim will make it really fun too. Like I think it'll feel like a fun, like lighthearted event. Hopefully there's new footage. They teased there's an active time report this weekend, which is like their weekend
Little
update
podcast,
thing,
yeah.
and they did. They said there's gonna be another playable demo.
And we don't know whether that's going to be like D.I.C.E, where it's like a slice that's not going to be in the final game, or whether it's just going to be like, hey, here's a level from the game that you'll get to play when it comes out.
And they said there will be more details at this event, which is cool.
Yeah, and so also in that Active Time report, they showed a new 3-minute chunk of gameplay, which was actually really cool. It was the first time we saw fire magic get used, which was really cool because you're fighting these mechs, and it felt a lot like Metal Gear.
It's Metal Gear, yeah. It's so weird.
A stealth section with these giant mechs, and you're being all stealthy and doing stealth kills, but then when you get caught, it turns into this like awesome battle. They showed the new HUD, the battle system.
Game looks insane.
Looks insane, and also so much of that stuff was from old Versus 13 footage from 2011.
You know what's weird? Like 2 years ago, if you had told me like Metal Gear Solid 5 is going to be one of your favorite games of 2015, I'd be like, no. And now I'm starting to feel that way about the new Final Fantasy, where I'm like,
this could be it.
I'm on board for this.
Yeah.
And this isn't me.
We'll be a bunch of real pretty men in a car together.
Yeah.
And they're going to just pull over someplace and have a nice snack by a campfire.
Yeah.
That sounds. I mean, all of that sounds like amazing stuff.
Yeah.
And there's dinosaurs.
Yeah, it's dinosaurs.
You put dinosaurs and mechs in the same game with a bunch of dudes in a car. And no girls.
No, girls show up and then the boys get all real nervous. They get all
which is great. No, I think that's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, they introduced another female character actually, Ariana Highwind, I believe her name is.
Yeah.
Ariana Huffington.
Ariana Huffington is
the Huffington Post.
first female character. Yeah, she basically commands the army.
Yeah,
and she
Dragoon.
looks real. She's got a big scary umpire mask on.
Yeah, what's going on now? She looks like a weird baseball player girl.
Looks like her face.
She's in Rammstein.
I think
that
her face got in trouble and it went to jail.
Yep.
But the rest of her did not go to jail, so just her face is in jail.
Okay, because she looks like the wife in Sleepy Hollow.
But yeah, I did a rewind over the footage. I talked for like 15 minutes and sort of broke down the battles and the UI and all this cool environmental stuff. So check
Go
that
watch
out.
that.
We'll embed that. We'll embed that in this post.
Can you give us any spoilers on any little secrets you might have dug up in there?
We did some. It turns out all of these characters and things were in footage from 2011, which is crazy. And I point that out. Like all this stuff is old Versus 13 stuff, which is like slowly being reused. So yeah, the big thing is on the 30th, we're gonna know March 30th. We'll know when the release date's going to be. They say 2016. What do you guys think? Like what month do you think?
November's a pretty safe bet.
Yeah.
Man, I feel like they'll get away from November. I feel like they have to be earlier than that.
You think
What
so?
are they, I mean, what are you going up against right now?
Just all the annualized stuff. I mean, everything that comes every year. But I think
but
they
it's Final
know,
Fantasy.
they know that like they want to break through in the West, like especially like they want this to be big.
Right.
I think
September's
they'll.
a good.
Yeah, like September, October.
I mean, I'm thinking that
Yeah.
September, like Metal Gear came out at that perfect time in September where it really didn't. And same thing, Destiny the year before, where like it didn't have a ton of competition for a month, and so it's
And it
like
gets your hooks.
yeah, it gets your hooks,
Yep.
especially a big game. This game's gonna be probably
your hooks.
40,
Well,
50
That to me,
hours.
either that or
Get
take
your hooks
the,
out, boys.
either that or take that like Deus Ex spot in August. Like I think that they'll try and get this as early as they can.
There's no Fallout 4 shaped giant thing taking all the breathing room out of everything else. This year.
But there wasn't.
Although maybe there will be.
I was about to say we didn't know that there was going to be that last year.
I think this E3 is going to, I've said this like 10 times on the podcast, but I feel like this E3 is finally the one where I think we're going to get 5 games announced at E3 that all come out in the fall.
Really?
I'm
4
hoping.
of them are broken to hell.
Yeah, exactly.
Complete trash fires.
Well, that's good
I'm
because
really
it
hoping
won't,
that we get-
it won't give them time to downgrade them.
Yeah, but I mean, like the prospect of the possibility of this fall, we have Zelda and a new Nintendo console, possibly. We have a new Mass Effect game.
No Assassin's Creed though.
No Assassin's Creed, but we're gonna have probably. What is it going to be?
Rainbow Six?
Rainbow Six was last. Wild.
No, what's the other one?
Ghost Recon,
Ghost Recon, I'm
maybe.
sorry.
Yeah, maybe
Maybe
Ghost
if
Recon
Watch
Wildlands.
Dogs gets revealed.
Persona 5.
Yeah.
Persona. I mean, no, Persona 5 is going to be huge. Like undoubtedly.
Yeah, I'm super curious to see how this fall falls into place. That's not great. But I'm like, I love that moment of like watching how like all the dominoes basically of like there's that insane thing where like a huge game comes out 1 week apart. I mean, this fall was that
Or the
for
same
sure.
day.
Or the same day.
seriously.
When
Exactly.
Tomb Raider's like, we'll be fine.
Well, and I think
Also, Tomb Raider's going to come out again this
that's
year.
right. Tomb Raider's coming out again.
And Tomb Raider was the thing I was about to say though.
I hope
That's
they-
why I don't think Final Fantasy comes out in November because they just saw it happen with Tomb Raider. And
You know,
they're
it'd be
not
really
squaring
funny
the same thing.
if at E3 Bethesda announces like a gigantic New Vegas-esque DLC for Fallout, and it comes out the same
That'd
day.
be-
as
Or
Tomb
it's like
Raider.
Sky- horrible.
or like the next Elder Scrolls is coming out. It's like, damn it.
And Tomb Raider's like, it'll be
Skyrim's
fine.
revenge.
Skyrim's.
Yeah.
What was I going to say? I don't remember.
That's fine.
I don't know. I think it was going to be good. Oh, I know what I was going to say. What are the odds that at E3 this year, little cardboard things, and the badges are some kind of anime person from the Persona games.
Yeah, it always is.
100%.
Yep.
If we had little anime characters for the dumb dancing game, the dumb dungeon game, the dumb Goldfarb games, they're going to have one for the big old number 5.
It's like, hey, Atlas, where's your booth? Why don't you look in your badge? it's right here.
This is going to be, I'm really excited for the C3 because if they have like a big Persona 5 booth and stuff, oh my God, it's going to be the best.
Wow, that's exciting for you because you love Persona so much.
Yeah, you have that cool dog in your desk.
You guys got your dumb Metal Gear year. Let me have my dumb Persona
Actually,
year.
our Metal Gear year was really weird. Konami booth was just this weird white box in the middle of a giant red carpet.
I hope your Persona year goes better than our Metal Gear year in terms of I hope its creator doesn't get fired.
We're having a contest at E3 this year that if you cosplay as Marty Sleevo, we will give you $1. Just come up to us and say hello. We'll give you $1.
So many of downtown Los Angeles' finest homeless folks.
And a Pabst Blue Ribbon.
Wow.
That's Blue Ribbon. That's the beer that won a prize at the World's Fair back when polio was still a big problem.
Back in that one where the serial killer was going around Chicago and murdering everyone.
Yeah. Okay, here's a cool thing. Maybe, I don't know. The Division beta. What do you guys think? Did you guys play that?
Yeah, I played it for a bit. You guys didn't get to. Or
No, I
Max played it.
haven't played it yet.
I downloaded it and then I read all the stuff about invisible players and glitches, and I was like, I'll wait. I don't want my first impression to be like just when you wake up.
For me, it wasn't that. It was I downloaded it and I was like, oh man, the Division looks great. And I played The Witness all weekend. Forgot I had Division. I just got drowned.
So you guys got The Witness
into it,
in a
right?
second.
Yeah.
I played like a little while.
Yeah, I played like an hour and a half, 2 hours. I feel that way about a lot of betas where I'm like, do I want to, especially something that is obviously going to have a big progression system. I'm like, how much time do I want to invest in something that I'm literally is not going to carry over? Like,
right.
I don't know. From what I played, like this game is
none of it carry over?
No, none of it in the beta is going to carry over.
I don't understand when stuff like that happens.
Yeah, I know, especially like you figure Ubisoft could tie somebody to a Uplay account. Is that a thing?
Yeah, like I felt the same way about Battlefront. I was like, I got up to level 5 and saved up a bunch of credits, and it all just went away.
Yeah,
and then I had no problem doing it all over again.
Yeah, of course. Still, so you have a problem.
Yeah.
But yeah, I thought the game is definitely. This finally answers the question of like this game is an RPG. This game's not really a shooter. It's more of an RPG probably than Destiny even is. Which I liked. I liked the world. I think sort of the background story and the environmental storytelling is really good.
Is it all still post-apocalyptic New York?
Still post-apocalyptic. Yeah, like not quite post-apocalyptic. Like it's right when like stuff's not going well.
It's post-pandemic.
So it's like New York at like 2:00 in the morning on New Year's Eve.
Yeah, totally.
But without the people.
Yeah.
It's like somewhere between the flashbacks and the regular part of I Am Legend. Like,
yeah.
Oh, okay, that's cool.
It's a little bit like kind of. I feel like a little bit like World-Z, and that like there's kind of just stuff's messed up, and there's people trying to kind of like
There's no aliens or anything, right?
No. It was a disease and then sort of anarchy.
So I jumped into it for a little bit. I was.
That old blue ribbon polio back again.
I was excited by the idea of this. I think they showed it off really well, like Ubisoft tends to do, but they also set the bar really high, and then you get in there. This game feels like such a byproduct of a lot of focus group testing. It is a tactical military MMORPG that has cover-based shooting and like it's.
That's a video game word cloud.
Yeah. Oh, and seriously. It's post-apocalyptic and military. It's I don't know. It's just basically like when everybody looks like they're sort of they're all decked out in stuff that came from like REI. It kind of takes away from that urge to like collect loot. Like when everything in the game is real trashy, you know, like and it's not like that like cool junk shop like American Pickers kind of vibe that Fallout has.
Right.
Yeah.
And you're in New York, which is this real place, and there's lots of stuff to explore, but some of it's kind of cordoned off. Like there's this, and it's it's a Ubisoft game, so there's these parts where they throw you in this area and they're like, go check out this thing, go fight these guys or whatever. And I'm like, oh man, I'm gonna Far Cry or Assassin's Creed my way in here and go in. And they're like, no, you're gonna go in one door. Like there's this part where you're supposed to go fight some dudes and blow them up. And they're like, yeah, use the cover to your advantage. And you go in. And I was like, maybe I'll try to like sneak around to the back, like. But it's totally just like kind of it's just a gymnasium full of like bleachers.
Which I'm sort of hoping that's just. What the beta's like. This is a really small area, and that like I'm hoping that when the game comes out, because they keep touting how realistic its depiction of like Midtown is, and I'm hoping it's sort of like. Plops me in the middle of the city and is like, just go do whatever you want. And I'm like, yep, that's what I want to do. I want to go wander around and I want to go to Central Park and see what kind of weird stuff's happening there.
I love the idea. Like they've shown off, the scale of this game, and they've like, this is a massive world, and you go like walk around it, and you go down the street, and there's like maybe a crazy guy, and he tries to kill you. What sucks though is that like basically it's got that kind of Tom Clancy difficulty of like you're going to get killed real fast. But the problem is that you're not able to kill other people that fast.
Yeah.
Like it doesn't have that. Like your people are bullet sponges because it's an RPG and you're shooting them a bunch and you're hiding behind cover. But then like a guy comes up and like takes you out. Like which kind of is just I don't know. It feels like a lot of things that don't really click exactly. Like the cool thing about this beautifully fleshed out New York would be to explore it fully, but instead they're like, you went in the bad area, you're in trouble now, or don't go over there. You can't walk over these garbage bags. Like, I mean, I know that these are like, this is like, it's a video game and being like, oh, you can't open the fridge and look at the milk, like that sucks. But like sometimes it's sort of like maybe if you build this thing from the ground up, like, maybe put rubble instead of garbage bags. Yeah. So I don't want to go over the garbage bags.
Right.
Yeah, and we sound like we're kind of down on it. Like we're not. It wasn't bad by any stretch, but
no, I'm really curious to see how. I like it better than Destiny based on what I saw.
Totally. I completely agree with that. And my one sort of qualm with it is that I'm not a huge multiplayer guy. So like I like playing games solo. So
well, you can play the entire game solo.
You can play the entire game solo, but a lot of the stuff felt like I was like, man, this combat center would probably be a lot more interesting if I had two buddies that I was talking to and we were planning, but I don't really want to do that. But honestly, a lot of the people online, like in the Beyond Facebook group and then even like in the office, like people were really digging it this weekend.
I mean, it seems like a lot of people who, I mean, maybe want something a little bit more technical than Destiny, but I guess less whimsical. Like this is going to click really well.
Yeah,
I do like the fact that you can climb. The cover system's really cool. It's very very XCOM. Like you basically aim at like a
thing,
a dumpster, or a garbage bag, or everything's trash in this game. And then you like press X and you book it up to there. And like kind of a cool system for moving around.
Yeah, so the beta's closed now. It's done.
Beta's closed.
I think they might do an open one.
Yeah, there was rumored at the end of February they're going to do an open one before it's released next month. But then, all month, this is our IGN first, and Brandon Tyrell and John Ryan has a bunch of rad features, and sort of they got to see a lot of stuff way past the beta. So
I think this kind of stuff is fascinating too, because it's like, I mean, you guys are like, oh, I feel bad, I'm being down on it, but it's like that's kind of technically what you're supposed to be doing.
Totally. I just wanted to like paint that like Max and I seem to be on the lower spectrum of excitement, whereas there are people who are super stoked.
Yeah. No, I think it's a tactical military post-apocalyptic MMO action RPG. And it's like, here's a lot of things that I typically don't like individually kind of piled together.
Yeah. No, totally.
So, it's not for me.
Yeah, I think it's like the exact purpose of these things are to get in there and play them and then come out with feedback, and then hopefully they take that feedback back to the team and they turn it into a better experience. But like I don't know, I'm like totally down. Like I love the setting and I love the aesthetic. Like, and I think it's fascinating to see Ubisoft doing a third-person RPG. I mean, I know they've done. Child of Light was the last RPG shaped thing they've done. Pretty much ever.
I mean, that and then South Park.
Totally. South Park is their most like core.
That's right. That's right. Totally forgot about that. Can't wait for the fractured.
I have a lot of trouble getting this hoodie off. It's real hot in this room.
But no, I'm kind of on the fence on this one. But like I said, I haven't played it yet, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, I think it's coming out at a really smart time because there's all that news about how Destiny 2 or whatever it is not coming out this year, and they're Destiny fans are kind of upset at the drip of content or the lack thereof, and so like this might Ubisoft might have like a legitimate shot to steal away a lot of Destiny's massive player base.
And it's crazy how important post-launch is for games like this. Like Destiny, at its launch, it's not like it got 10 out of 10s. Like it got plenty of like middling reviews.
Honestly, it wasn't until like a year in Destiny became sort of a really great game.
I mean, it was like a slow build, and then Taken King is what finally seems to have made it like actually what people wanted in the first place. But I think like if Ubisoft has really steady content drops and like big meaty things, I think it could be awesome.
The Tank and Kang.
The Tank and Kang.
Wow.
Yeah. Meaty
also,
drops.
we just to people watching the video to make sure they don't think that Andrew's not working or not podcasting. Andrew's currently setting up D.I.C.E, which is a show we're going to. So he's been a real good work boy.
I'm sending a bunch of emails and building a cute little schedule.
Look at this.
He's looking at a big old 13 inches of pornography.
Wow.
What a terrible thing to say.
Awful.
Is there anything the public gets out of D.I.C.E?
Oh, we're doing a bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we'll do a whole bunch of stuff.
A lot of interviews,
panels
a lot
and
of
stuff
news
that they can watch.
I don't believe they're streaming. The awards are, and the awards. There's going to be a Kojima is getting the Lifetime Achievement Award, or the a Hall of Fame induction from Guillermo del Toro, so they'll be on stage together.
Yeah, John
Maybe they'll do
Carmack's
a
going to be
sweet
there, and
kiss.
he's going to cut a whole bunch of 2x4s in half with his hand.
Awesome.
He's been practicing that a whole lot. They finally captured Warren Spector. They're going to have him in a big tank there, and people are going to go look at him.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean the awards are actually pretty cool, and I think those may even end up streaming on IGN.
Yes.
But I mean, like, yeah, interview stuff. We'll be posting a lot for sure.
They're doing the world's largest Let's Play of Steven Spielberg's Boom Blocks.
Yeah. Yep. It's they're hoping to break the world record.
That's gonna be
Really
great.
cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. They're gonna just burn a man on stage.
Yep. Will Wright
Light him
is going
right
to
on
be
fire.
is going to be drinking an entire gallon of milk and trying not to throw up.
Yep. There's just gonna be they taught a dog how to talk, and it's gonna make some opening
Shigeru
remarks.
Miyamoto and Gabe Newell are actually cosplaying as each other, which is weird.
It's gonna be really interesting. Yep.
Varying
a little
body
problematic.
sizes.
You know, people are a little worried, but you know. We'll see
Yeah, I
how
think
it goes.
Cliff Blazinski's doing an improv night where everyone's going to get invited to come up on stage and compete, and it's a fun time.
Yeah, they're actually gonna refrost his hair tips live on stage. Which
They're
is
actually
great.
going to
He's doing-
travel
he's doing-
back in time
He
to
doesn't
the
have
birth of the
frosted hair
video
tips
game.
anymore.
He's doing blue this year. Just kidding. All right. So DICE is coming up. You guys are going to that. I'm excited to see
Yep. I
what
mean,
it's
it's
going to be like to
couple weeks
send
away.
Marty
You know what's
Sleeve to
funny?
Vegas
How we were-
twice in a month.
We were talking about all the fake stuff, but then we could say it's public what the opening thing is.
I don't know. It could be,
yeah, yeah,
it could be one of our many lives.
No, so
on the show.
the first thing of the show is Randy Pitchford and Penn Jillette doing an hour-long magic show.
That's the opening.
That's literally the opening of the show, which sounds like one of the fake things you guys said. But
Sounds like they're going to make an hour disappear.
Wow. And then there's
Let's
following
talk
that.
about
There's Jade Raymond's charity pancake drive that she's It's all going to the volunteer fire department in Montreal. Jade Raymond's just making a ton of pancakes.
After that, Kaz Hirai is going to say Ridge Racer into a camera for 3 hours in a row.
Neil Druckmann's going to do some BMX bike tricks.
Neil Druckmann totally sounds like the name of a BMX biker as well.
Yep.
Yeah.
Dave Mira's buddy, Neil Druckmann. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Dave Mira's going to be there. He's going to be doing a 3-card Monty. I don't know why. I think he got invited by Tony Hawk, who makes mobile games now.
Do you know Nolan North he's gonna say the name of every president?
But not
But in the
sequential order.
voices of each president, he's going
And
to
those
just
are
nail those
Podcast
impressions.
Beyond's Vice predictions.
Yeah, they did this wacky prank this year where they told Peter Molyneux that it's black tie formal, so Peter Molyneux's gonna be wearing a tuxedo the whole time, and everyone else is like a little bit more casual. Yep. So he just looks like a magician, but really there's other magicians there who aren't even that dressed up that much. It's gonna be crazy. It sounds great. I've never been to DICE. I have no idea what happens at DICE.
Peter Molyneux actually promised
DICE
it. Peter Molyneux promised that at the start of DICE he's going to plant a tree, and by the end of DICE, it's not going to have grown up yet.
In all seriousness, DICE is my favorite show of the year.
Because
You
no
don't
one
have to
else
work;
can
you
go
get to go to magic shows for 3 days.
No, I mean, I wish it was more. I wish it was. Well, maybe I do and don't wish it was bigger. I don't know. It's really cool. Lots of like interviews of people not talking about a specific.
And you bought a
product.
suit.
Bought a suit. I'm picking it up tonight.
You bought a real man's penguins costume.
It's gonna fit me real good.
Cool. You're
It's
gonna
a-
get
it's
such
tailored.
a smooch.
Oh, I got a smooch. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, just a real thick one right on the lips. It's gonna
Yeah,
hurt.
here Tone
It's gonna
Locke's gonna
bruise
be
you.
there.
It's gonna hurt. Why is it gonna hurt?
What? I don't know. Okay, so we're all we've all been talking about The Witness. We've all been playing The Witness.
I
The
love
Witness.
it.
If you have not been playing The Witness, you're missing out because it's a really, really good game. Yeah. Gentlemen, without spoiling anything, let us talk about this fine game.
Yeah. First off, before we talk about what we think of it, I'm really happy that in the first week it sold 100,000 copies. It's made $5 million, and then they said that they want to bring it to more platforms such as Xbox One and iOS. Which
Did
I
you
find
see
really weird.
it's outsold Braid?
Yeah.
In its entirety.
But okay, so
Revenue-wise.
there was that was the thing that got updated. Actually,
Okay, it's not actually.
it's just an important thing to note. So like, this is why sales. I know I'm gonna get nerdy for a second, but this is why
No, do it, baby. Get in
big
there.
surprise. So sales are really interesting to talk about because people always talk about like the difference between selling to retailers or selling to consumers and all of that stuff. This is revenue, so it's not copies sold. Braid was a $10 game on a single platform. This is a $40 game on multiple platforms. So it's like it's doing really well, but that it's interesting how the spin on a phrase like that, like it's already outsold Braid in a week. Well, that's because it costs 4 times more and it's on twice as many platforms.
Yeah.
So I think I don't want to take anything away from it. I love the
It's like
Witness. I'm
saying cars
obsessed
have
with
made
it.
more money than skateboards.
Exactly. That's exactly it. So it's like I try to be careful with stuff like that.
Which is
That's
not
a
true.
though.
Skateboards are actually on the rise.
That's
fascinating.
Unbelievably obsessed with The Witness. I am reading theories all day. I'm watching streams all day. I play it all night.
Which is weird because it's like I'm hearing you guys talk about it, and again, we won't get into spoilers, but Max and I are like probably around the same area-ish. I might be a little further than you, but we're both kind of like, where's the story? Like, where's the secrets?
The story's like incidental. Like, I mean, it's not. It's not the kind of game where there's going to be like an informative cutscene or like like a. You have to dig to find the story.
It'd be funny if there was just like one puzzle and you solved the puzzle and then there's an entire ebook that you just pick up and you have to read in one sitting, like a really long Skyrim book.
There was like a couple years there where I wouldn't have put that past the video game industry. Like there's a few Chozo lores in Metroid Prime that got to horse ebook status.
I mean, Halo as well.
It gets weird though when you do get to some of the diary entries because I mean this was news before the game came out, but it's like all of a sudden it's like, oh, Ashley Johnson's reading things, and it's like, oh, Phil Lamar is reading things. It's like a weird little voice cast.
Otherwise known as Metal Gear Solid 2's Vamp.
That's true.
In Samurai Jack.
Yeah.
And the funny UPS guy from Mad TV.
That's right. So I think it's a very fascinating game. I want to give a little bit of advice. If you get stuck on a puzzle, like do what you can to power through it. Take a break, come back the next day, walk away.
I've done that. I've done that a few times where I've been like stuck on something and I've left and I've come back the next day and just first shot.
Yeah. Yep.
This is not like a war of attrition that you get with like a video game boss where you're like, I'm gonna beat you, I'm learning you. Yeah. Like sometimes your brain just doesn't put the things together. And I made the mistake of looking up a solution for one of the puzzles, which actually turned out to be kind of a gameplay lesson for one of the very integral rules in the game. And when I came back and I did the other stuff, it was sort of like missing a lesson in math class, and everyone's already on to
and
the
it's
next
that
thing.
weird. It's the thing we talk about a lot with open world games, where it's like you can wander into any area basically from the beginning. So it's like you can stumble into the hardest area and you're not going to get it.
Which is like, it's very overwhelming, right? And that's I don't know if I love that about the game. Like, I think in a lot of ways that's pretty fascinating, but until somebody kind of told me like, hey, go here first. Yeah. Gave me a little nudge in the right direction. I was very overwhelmed by the game, and I actually did not like my first 2 hours.
It's so weird because it's like
if you leave the first area and end up going right instead of left, you are gonna like hit an impassable wall.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like you said it, and I love the way you put this, and it's something I love
you.
I love you too. It's something.
The first suit smooch.
Looks like we solved one line puzzle, and that's the line between Goldfarb and Marty.
But
call it erection.
That's an
two erections.
That's an environmental puzzle.
But no, one of my favorite things that you said about it is that he essentially made a language, and you have to learn the language as you go. And it's this interesting thing where like, so originally you have words, and then you have sentences, and then you're learning past tense and present tense and future tense, and then you're conjugating verbs, and it becomes really complicated, and it's all building off of the initial ideas. Right. So you have to kind of, there's no real set order, and you can like the interesting thing with the Witness, especially for new players, is they're like, oh, I got it right, I brute forced it and just tried 100 solutions, I finally got it. And it's like, if you do that, you're screwing yourself for later, because you're going to get to a point where like you're not going to be able to keep it up. Yeah. And the game's really smart too, because like it has ways of making it so you're not going to always be able to even use a guide or look up a solution.
It's constantly reinventing its own rules too. Yeah. Like I was in this one area, and again, no spoilers, but it's like a big red tree, and there's like 30. Like that's the thing. Like you walk up to something beautiful, and you're like, this is cool and interesting, and then you just see like 150 panels. Yeah. And you're like, oh. Like especially there's a couple times where it just, I don't want to say it's lazy game design, but it's a little sort of just like, okay, so you put 9 black squares in a row and I have to solve each one of them. This is starting to feel like I'm doing schoolwork.
What I love about it is when you get to that feeling, like I'm the type of person who I'll walk into an area and I'm like, I want to play this start to finish before I move on. Yeah. But what I like about this game is you can get halfway through an area and you don't have to finish it. And this is a conversation I had with Jose where he feels like when he comes to a new area, he wants to see it through. But man, I feel like if I get halfway through, no matter how deep into something I am, I can walk away and start a whole new area and get further and kind of go back and forth. Like puzzles I was stuck on for hours, I took a day or two off of and I came back to and got them on my first try.
I mean, I got halfway through the Sand Temple and I was like, okay, this is becoming tedious. Like I understand what it wants me to do. It's just a lot of work. Yeah. So I left. A nightmare. I did old Shady Grove, whatever the hell it's called. Yep. And I went back to the Sand Temple. I'm like, all right, I'm not frustrated anymore. And then I finished that. I'm like, all right, that feels.
And
good.
it's funny how if you do them out of order, if you manage to get through a hard area and then you do one of the easy ones, you feel like a god. Yeah, like you just like go right through it.
Have you guys found the shotgun yet?
Yeah, shotgun helps a lot.
Yeah. The dog
you got to shoot all the puzzles and then then you beat them.
Yeah, I didn't. I thought it needs to be nerfed in multiplayer though, because I'm not a fan.
It's imbalanced. The glitches. There's a lot of clipping.
No, there's none of that stuff. But I think it's fascinating how you're going through the rhythm of a bunch of puzzles, and it's like I was in this one area where all these like the way you lined up trees, they were casting shadows onto the panels, and you would trace the shadows, and you'd be like, awesome, nailed it. And I did like 7 of those in a row, and I'm like, this is getting trickier and trickier. And then the 8th one was just like, don't trace the shadows, trace the opposite of the shadows. And I'm just like, what the
Yeah. Jay Blow.
Yeah, I mean, there are moments where when you figure it out, like when you try something like 20 times, and then like there are also puzzles where like it's as simple as like I'm staring at it for like 2 hours trying all these complicated solutions, and then it turns out it's like a single line.
Yeah,
like,
or it's like a 3-point move where you just like make a little.
Well, a lot of it was like, you guys ever like organize? You know, we're all gamers here, but you ever organize behind your entertainment centers?
Like all the wires,
yeah. And a lot of the Witness feels like that, where you're like, okay, there's a wire and it's going across this football field, but then it leads to this tree, and then there's 7 other wires coming out of the tree, so you're following all them. You're like, where does this thing plug in?
The tree's actually a movie theater when you get inside of it, and you're just like, what is happening?
But I will say, and you and I were talking about this over the weekend, there's this like awesome. The sound effects are really good, and for a game that has no music, it has incredible sound design.
It's friggin' better.
Yeah,
doesn't have any music.
You only did 50% of your job. Come on.
It does. Although Gofar did send me like it has very sparse music, but when it uses music, it uses it incredibly.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing they licensed
the shotgun plays Def Leppard
songs.
Yeah, Last Resort.
Guys are the worst.
Yeah. No, it's there's. So, you know, you've probably seen screenshots of this. Again, no spoilers. But when you finish an area or kind of solve an area, a big kind of turret pops up out of something. A turret?
A real fat turret goes up in the sky.
A big turret. And it shoots a laser across the entire game into a mountain. And
that sound is
rad. It's like you compared it to the sound of like
Django's concussion bombs.
Yeah. I haven't heard it. I've done like 3 of them and I haven't heard it yet.
Really?
I don't know. I had the volume turned down or something, or listening to
Probably
jazz music.
Oh yeah, you listen to
Benny Goodman, big band swing.
Yeah, you listen to
songs.
some of that like problematic music that you like.
But yeah, it's a great game. It's totally worth $40. I will warn you though, like if you're not into puzzles or puzzle solving at all, stay away from this thing. Like it's not going to be fun for you. Like this is not there's a lot of like IGN Game of the Year nominees where I'd be like, this works for everyone. Like The Witcher and Metal Gear, those are absolutely games that I think almost anyone can get something out of. I do not feel The Witness is like that. Yeah. Like if you are looking for something more action oriented, even if like you loved Myst, like I don't think this.
If you like to
so
jump,
different.
Yeah, and a lot of
like to go over something and
so
fall down
that's
a
why
hill.
this is a hard game to recommend, because it's this interesting thing where like if someone really likes like Gone Home or like a kind of open world exploration game like this is, not open world but kind of a first person exploration thing, this is still a hard game to recommend to them because the puzzles are so like intense and you have to really like that. Like I don't know, to me, like if you really like Portal, I feel like this is an easier recommendation.
Totally. That's a good way to put it. Like I've heard a lot of people being like, if I loved Lost, would I love this? And I'm like, probably not. Like,
yeah.
If I enjoy orange slices, will I enjoy riding the train?
It's a really fun game to play with a couple people in the room though. Like solving solving it as a group, solving puzzles as a group is super fun. And I was playing it with someone who literally doesn't play games, and she was like really digging the opening of it. So yeah.
Can we get into that real quick? Because we were going to talk about this, right? It was
get into whatever you want.
I think it's like we were talking about this over the weekend too, about how you guys were saying this is one of those games. We were talking about specifically games that you can show people that don't
play games,
video games.
I said I always show Journey and recently PT. I've showed people who don't play games, and sort of like this.
I felt like Walking Dead season 1 was good for that too.
Yeah, totally.
Like I was showing my wife that, and she was just like, at first she was like, "This game's cursed now," and I was like, "Oh man, you have no idea."
I showed Walking Dead to my mom. She was like, "Is he a zombie?" I'm like, "No, that's just a man who's a cartoon."
I showed the Italian Assassin's Creed to my mom, and I'm like, "Look, Mom, I'm in Rome." And then I stabbed the guy, and she's like, "Oh, this is horrible. Games are the worst." Like, sorry, we didn't just make pasta sauce in the middle of town.
You gotta do more side quests where you collect all those meatballs.
Speaking of Italy, So you do you think The Witness is one of those games where you can show it to somebody who doesn't know anything about video gaming and then hand them a controller? Or?
So I definitely didn't hand her the controller, just because if you don't play games, a dual stick first person game is sort of going to wreck you right away. Yep. And so I was controlling it, but she was loving the puzzles in the opening area, and then going to the Symmetry Island, which is sort of the first easy to beat area of the game, and she was like totally on board with, because she's someone who does do puzzles. She does like crossword puzzles and stuff, right. And so she was like digging that. And so yeah, I feel like it is. I don't know if later on, like I don't know if someone's gonna want to stick with this for the 30, 40 hours that we'll play it, but I don't know. In small doses, like I can even imagine my mom liking the puzzles.
So I talked to my parents about this game for like 15 minutes over the weekend, and my dad like super like. He was like, how do I play it? And I was like, well, maybe it would run your PC. And he was like, how do I put a game on my PC? And I was like, maybe I could send you a PS4. And he was like, where would I get the disc? And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to have to wait till I come home to set this up for you guys.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely not a good game to show people who aren't familiar with gaming because there's so much of a sense of like you don't know where the bottom is. Like the fact that once I discovered that there's environmental puzzles and it's sort of the sense of like, did I do that? Did that work?
And as soon as you do the first one, you're like, oh, God, I need to go back everywhere now.
Yep. Exactly. But like even the regular puzzles, occasionally you'll get to one and it's like, you do it and it goes, bang, and you're like, but it sticks and you're like, did I solve it?
Yeah.
Is it on? And there's like, there's no messaging. And I know that games often dumb themselves down too much to the point that it's like, it's detrimental to the experience. But in this case, I think that there's so much kind of like, it goes out of its way almost to alienate players in like a way that I think is really exciting, but it's also like it's made for people who are used to playing games and consuming this medium.
Yep.
If you showed this to somebody who doesn't know what the hell they're doing, I think that it's like Journey. There's very clearly there's a beacon, there's a direction to go, and there's like, I mean, the one sort of mystery puzzle thing is that other people will come up and be like, and you're like, what are you saying to me? What do you want? Is he swearing?
Genova Chen, somewhere in Southern California, Genova Chen's crying right now at your depiction of the noise.
This is like weird.
It's actually it's the name of his new game is Crying.
Weird scarf ghost comes up.
It's about a goat that lives in a tear.
Where is that game company's new
Seriously,
game?
where's that
really,
game?
Just like more so like that for me. Like trust me, I'm super excited for The Last Guardian. Can't wait to play The Last Guardian. Much more curious about that game company's new game.
But also, it's not even like, oh man, it got announced so long ago. It's like we have no idea what this thing is.
No idea whatsoever. We don't even know what it's themed around, right?
No.
Like,
I mean, they didn't buy, but their contract with Sony ended, and they had a big round of funding, and they've talked before about multi-platform. They've talked about kind of PC and mobile. Like there were job listings. There's like been a bunch of stuff. It's like a pretty epic ongoing thing. And then they had a round of funding a year or two ago where they got a lot of money. So they're doing something, but we just don't know what it is.
Cool.
It was a turt simulator.
It's a turt simulator.
I hope it's licensed as all hell. I hope it's like it's the most beautiful Shrek game we'll ever get. I want to see more of that. We had the Warren Spector the
Mickey Mouse game,
Epic Mickey or whatever. But like I want to see more people who like have a ton of like clout, like tackle a license and be like, I mean, Ed Boon made Injustice, you know?
Totally. Yeah.
I like the idea of somebody who knows how to make games making something that they care about.
Yeah.
And I mean, that's sort of, in a weird way, what's happening with the Star Wars movies right now. Like, I mean, the fact that you're taking, like, Rian Johnson and Gareth Edwards and all these people that, like, make these weird genre films and handing them Star Wars.
Gary
really
Busey's making one.
Yeah, I always wish
I
always wish we saw more. Like, because you'll get, like, a kind of flippant comment in an interview every now and then where, like, Miyamoto once was like, oh, I could make a first-person shooter, or like, you know, Cliff Bleszinski says like, oh, it'd be cool to work on a Resident Evil game or something, and it's just like, let them.
Yeah.
You know, like that would be so awesome to take.
I don't think anyone's stopping Miyamoto from making a first-person shooter.
Yeah, I think he's stopping it from happening. But I think
remember when they wouldn't let him ride his bike to work? It's like my favorite Miyamoto.
Oh yeah. Because they're worried that you get
there was like this incredible interview where they were like, oh, like what do you do when you're not working? And he's like, my favorite thing used to ride my bike, but I can't do it anymore because they feel like as though I could be putting myself in danger. So now I just get a ride to work every day.
You know why? Like, because it's very hard to ride a bike in a Gabe Newell fat suit.
Wow, we really started that early.
Yeah, we brought that back. Anyway, I would love to see more of that, but I think with like licensing problems and everybody's locked up in like certain, like you get in like a 4-game deal or something like that, it's hard for that to happen. But yeah, I'd love to see game makers just be like, hey, we want to make, well, kind of like what was happening with Silent Hill, right?
Yeah.
Yep. That'd be pretty cool.
That didn't happen, but yeah.
Okay.
Womp.
Here's a really cool thing that I wish happened more often. Volition released an ISO for an unfinished PSP game of Saints Row, which would have been called Saints Row Undercover or Saints Row The Fall. Originally it was called Saints Row 2 PSP. Basically, there are these guys there who run their YouTube channel, and they were just goofing around at Volition and going through old closets and stuff, and they found a PSP dev kit, and it's looks like a PSP with a large wire connecting it to a very ugly 90s computer.
Yeah.
And they found a disc in there that had a working build of a portable Saints Row game.
Yeah. It was really cool. So they had announced, they're like, hey, we found this. And they're like, we're going to live stream it this day. And we're like, oh, that's really cool. And then they're like, hell, we're just going to release the ISO file. And you could download. It's an unfinished game. Like, it's kind of broke halfway through, but just go at it.
Like, you'll get stuck in the ceiling or something like that. Your character will drive through the floor.
How awesome is that?
Yeah. They were streaming it. It was kind of amazing because they were like, apparently if you crash a car weird, it just starts spinning around. And they're like, Carnado. But they basically just released this to Unseen64, that cool site we've talked about a bunch. I love this kind of stuff so much. I really, really hope that more studios take a cue from this because I think that especially people who are learning how to make games, like we don't get honest behind the scenes stuff with games, at all. Like it's so often it's just held behind closed doors. I've been reading a lot of behind the scenes books about movies lately, and like. I mean, finding out that there was like, I don't know, for instance, there was an original director, Vincent Ward, who was directing Alien 3, and he was like, I'm going to have the planet that the alien goes to be a giant sphere made of wood, and it's full of monks. And Ripley goes insane and starts seeing visions. And everyone's like, that's really a terrible idea. You're fired. We're hiring David Fincher.
Yeah.
He made Madonna videos. And like that story is amazing. It's fascinating. There were like 30 different spec scripts for that movie. The fact that we're seeing this game that never came out, really cool. There was a video I saw the other day of the story of the Dark Knight game that never happened. That was going to be Pandemics.
Right.
Really cool.
That was just on Kotaku, I think. It's like, I love that kind of stuff.
And we only scratched the surface on, like, there's so many of these stories that, like, either we have no idea about or we've heard about, but we can't really ever report on just because we were told confidentially.
Or even, like, we did that thing a couple years ago of, like, what Star Wars 1313 was going to look like.
Totally,
In fact, it was a Boba Fett game. And, like, there's so many incredible things that, like, what could they have been?
Yeah,
that Darth Maul game that showed up.
Darth Maul game. Right. There's like, there's that original when they first showed Resident Evil 4. It was like,
I love that.
It was like
spooky one.
Leon
with
and like a ghost with like a sickle was chasing him.
Yeah, he's fighting ghosts with a gun. You're like, what?
That was when Kamiya was directing the game.
Yeah, I mean they made a Resident Evil game for Game Boy Color. It's a port of the original, and it never came out. And somebody leaked the ROM one day, and like that stuff is so rare, but it's so fascinating. And also like to piggyback on that or piggytail.
Thanks for piggytailing.
I am such a huge fan of like demakes on handhelds. As a huge handheld gamer, like the idea of people being like, we're gonna put a GTA on PSP and it's gonna burn up. Like it's going to get hot in your hands, but it's gonna be gorgeous and fascinating and weird and ugly. Like, I mean, the fact that like Chinatown Wars, which is probably my favorite Grand Theft Auto game, was built around Nintendo DS hardware and then ported to PSP later, and it plays phenomenally on both. Probably even better on PSP.
It's actually really good in iOS too.
Yeah, it is. It is great on iOS. And that was designed based on the limitations of the hardware that they were making it for. And I've said this a million times, but like some of the best art comes through limitations, and because of that, like the idea, like if somebody said nowadays we're gonna make a Saints Row game for iOS. And it's going to be fully 3D. People will be like, you're out of your mind. That's insane. But what, 5-7 years ago, people were like, we can do this on the PSP. Yeah. This makes perfect sense.
Yeah. And apparently they just tried to dump it on there. They were like, let's just shrink the engine and throw it on there. And they were like, no, it's not working. It doesn't work one bit.
And it's great too. Like this is at that point where it's like PSP. No one's making PSP games anymore. At this point, just like throw it out.
Just
there.
put it out there.
Yeah,
I love that. That's sort of like what people always say. Like, what's the statute of limitations for spoilers?
Yeah.
Like, is it a month? Like
there should be like once the generation's over, you can go back
when generation's over. Leak all the ISOs.
Yeah, just go back and show us all the weird things that never came out.
Yeah, all the like the hybrid versions. Like, give me that Gears of War level that took place in like a dude's belly or whatever. Like, just all the stuff that you threw away. Like all the it was almost like this. Like I love stuff like that.
Give me that Motor Storm where the cars all talk.
Yeah, totally.
That.
Like I'm sure there's a bunch of Twisted Metal characters that never came out that was just like, oh, this is a tree.
There's that Twisted Metal dating sim where the cars all talk to each other about dating.
Shout out to David Jaffe. We love you, baby.
Yep.
We got some letters. I don't think they're really letters. They're more like emails that people send them on a computer. They go on a keyboard, type a bunch of words.
I fished both of these out of the sea. They were in bottles.
We got some messages from the sea.
Yep.
Austin Parton says, "What's up, guys? Austin here. I'm new to the show, and so far it's pretty fantastic." Aw. Thanks. But anyways, on to more important stuff. You suck up. I want a Call of Duty remastered collection, like the good games, Finest Hour, Modern Warfare. All the others suck really bad. Let's be honest. Do you think we will ever see a remaster of these games? That is a really good question.
Yeah, I think the one way you you could is if, I mean, it depends on what the next Call of Duty game is, but if they were to try and bring back Modern Warfare, I can see them doing a remastered trilogy ahead of it, something like that. I can see them doing it as a tie-in. Like, almost if they make a Black Ops 4, I can see them doing like a Black Ops 1 through 3 collection. Yeah. It's that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think you would get like a 9 Call of Duty game collection.
Sure, I think it would be more of like Infinity Ward's Call of Duty games.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Call of Duty is so weird. Like, I feel like they almost never look back.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Like, I don't think it's for the audience at all. Like,
no, it's weird.
It's such a big AAA, like kind of just it is a benchmark of like where we're at in terms of big budget stuff. They're like, yeah, David Goyer and Trent Reznor are working on this because they just worked on the Social Network or whatever.
Yeah,
You're like, all right. Kevin Spacey's in here because House of Cards is hot right now. Like they throw a whole bunch of money at stuff, and that's not to discount what they do because they do, incredible work. But so much of it is kind of like there's so much sizzle applied there. Yeah. That I don't think they really want to showcase going backwards.
No, because a lot of those. Yeah, I was going to say a lot of the campaigns specifically, which is, I mean, I played through every Call of Duty campaign except for like the last 2 of them. That's when I just. Like 2 years ago, I was walking through the office and somebody was capturing the entire game, and I just stood there and watched the last 20 minutes of the game and was like, "Well, I don't need to play that." And then this last year I just skipped because there were a billion other things. Yeah. Call of Duty is kind of like that. It's like when you're at a bar and a song comes on, everybody in the bar starts singing along to it, and you're like, "I don't get it." That's how I feel about Call of Duty, where I'm like, "This is the most popular thing in the world. I don't know anyone that plays it."
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so many people also play it for the multiplayer. Like, initially that wasn't the case. Initially, like I played the first Call of Duty when it first came out, and I didn't know it was this huge franchise that would be the biggest thing in the world. And I was just like, this is a game where you World War II. It's pretty cool. It's a tank, probably.
I never would have guessed back then that would be topping MPD charts for 10 years in a row.
That's crazy. That's also a good point, though, is like, if you do a remaster, do you just do what the Nathan Drake collection did and just strip out the multiplayer and it's like, hey, here's just the campaigns, or do you go full on like what Halo did and like recreate the infrastructure? Which didn't work.
The thing is,
maybe Modern Warfare 2.
Yeah. I mean,
the thing is about the Call of Duty games is if you stripped out the multiplayer, which, like, to be fair, I'm sure, and I know that there's been a couple times where they've taken classic multiplayer levels and brought them into newer games and stuff like that. Yeah. But the campaigns are they're kind of like the Uncharted games in that they hinge so much on these massive set pieces and then sort of the tunnels that lead to them, the monster closets, if you will. And I think that bumping up the textures in those isn't really going to be enough. Like, there's a lot of very fundamental last generation video game tropes and problems that fall into those campaigns that I think it just doesn't fly as well now. But I mean, I'd love to be proven wrong. I'd love, like, I don't know what something like that costs. God knows they have the money to fund it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I don't know who that's for because I don't know what percentage of people play the campaigns. But I think it's like, it would be cool to see them look back a little bit. Totally. Just be like, here's a big box of all of our greatest hits, our coolest stuff.
I mean, even if they didn't up-res it or anything, just making it available for current systems would be kind of cool. But yeah, that's really it. Is I don't think that there's, in spite of the sales numbers, I don't think there's a ton of emotional attachment to the single-player portions of those games.
Yeah.
Like, tons of people would love a Modern Warfare 2, like, for the multiplayer. Everyone's always, demanding that stuff make a comeback, but it's like, most people just play the multiplayer of the newest one, I feel like.
I would love to see them do like a Halo collection style thing.
That'd be huge.
That worked.
Another thing would be interesting would be if they did like a greatest hits collection of like their best multiplayer maps. Like, maybe, I don't know, they do a 15th anniversary or whatever the hell it is.
That'd be awesome. I like your idea of just straight up porting the old versions too, because like I'm a huge fan of like the sort of visual history.
Like,
we do a lot of those
rare
series
replay.
here.
Yeah. Get that 3DS one that's all entirely in clip art.
Yeah, that
those Wii ones were like half the level popped in while you were approaching it.
I remember Anthony Gallegos reviewing that in the office.
Yeah, stepping forward, stepping back.
Dude, watching him go from playing the PS3 and Xbox versions to the Wii version, where there's one part where a building blows up and it's just like it's there and then it's not. And
it's like, it was like a single texture. So like if you walked far enough back from the building, you just saw a perfectly intact building, and then you took one step forward, and then suddenly the smoke pops in.
It's so
really
weird.
Good.
Yeah, love it.
It's so weird.
Good question.
Eric Pereira writes, "Greetings. I have been a PS Plus subscriber ever since I got my PS4 in 2013. For the most part, the free games have been pretty good. However, there has yet to be any great AAA games. Which AAA games would you like to see for PS Plus before the end of 2016? My choice would be God of War 3 Remastered."
I could see that being one if God of War 4 gets announced. Or God of War, whatever.
I can see them adding Nathan Drake collection shortly before Uncharted 4.
I think Far Cry 4 would be the perfect choice to do probably in March, right before Primal's out.
Yeah.
That's a good call.
Yeah.
Or even 3, honestly.
Yeah. Outside of tie-in stuff, I feel like we're more likely to see 3 for last gen. We already saw Blood Dragon. I mean, it's enough of a gap there.
I always got that weird notion, by the way, when I get that message telling us that the new games are coming, and they name a game for PS3, and I'm like, I'm not going to go back and play that.
Yeah.
They gave away Blood Dragon a few months ago, and that's sitting in my library, and I'm like, I really love Blood Dragon. I don't know if I want to pick up the PS3 controller, hook up my PS3 again, and play through,
Yeah, my roommate has my PS3, and it's downstairs. I don't want to go down there. It smells like cat pee.
Yeah.
So that's my
universal problem.
Sorry, last gen. It smells like cat pee near you, so I'm not going over there.
The problem really is that your
roommate.
Your roommate
like
pees on the floor.
All my roommates are cats. They don't know how to use the PS3.
I think seeing the order at some point would be cool.
Yeah.
Once we get to it, that was a short thing. That game was super flawed, but that'd be a fun way to.
There's been multiple times over the last few months where they are selling that game for $10, which is about as close as you can get to giving it away for free on PlayStation Plus. I think that's a great answer.
Yeah. I hope maybe by the end of the year, if there's no AC game this fall, put Syndicate on there, since Syndicate was rad, but
awesome.
No one bought it.
Yeah. Any AC game would be pretty good. I think.
Something big and meaty.
I mean, they can afford it. They sell enough of those friggin' things.
They do a lot of them.
I think it'll be a very long time before we see something like The Witcher or Metal Gear on there.
Yeah,
Or
exactly,
Bloodborne or anything.
I don't think we'll ever see Metal Gear on there.
Yeah.
You don't think so?
I think it's one of those. It's kind of like how the Star Wars trilogy is never $10. It's got this kind of legacy to it, and they're like, no, we're going to charge you more.
Nintendo does that with their games, where they're just they've actually come out and said we maintain the $50 price point for our games because we want to show people that our games are quality.
Yeah.
And it's thanks. We know they are. We read the Metacritic. I want to be able to buy your games. But I don't know. I also don't see Konami doing anything that cool anytime soon.
Dying Light is one that I would jump on.
That's a good idea.
That is one I saw, and I was like, how did everyone like that? And some people are like, it's really cool. And then I saw some random gameplay clips.
Did you play it?
No. Where you're jumping off a thing and landing on an elevator or something.
Yeah, it'd be a fun game just to look around.
The parkour controls were a little weird to get used to.
Yeah.
There's a lot of doing stuff with shoulder buttons that you don't usually do. But once you get past that, you're like, this world is gorgeous and awesome and terrifying and full of cool stuff.
I think I'm pretty much done paying money for zombie games at this point.
A lot of zombie games.
I'll play one for free, but I don't know if I want to pay money for it.
Man, I'd be all over a new Dead Rising in a heartbeat. I love this game.
Even like the TV movie that's coming directly to Crackle.
I think it already came out, and I don't think anyone liked it. We have 8 minutes. We have 8 minutes until Jared comes in and yells at us.
Jared, damn it! Don't come in here. If you're watching this video right now,
entire podcast about vaults.
We got real quick time for rapid fire, an exciting new time for doing it.
Every week I go on the Podcast Beyond Facebook group, except for this week where Marty did because I was busy. I was actually in a meeting room with Jared talking to him, so you can blame him for that.
Yeah, Jared.
But you got to see a small picture of Marty Sleva asking you a question to ask us questions.
What's the Facebook group?
Facebook.com/group/podcast beyond.
Schmegma.
If you can't get into it, if it doesn't let you get in, it might be because your Facebook account is too new. If you're a recent sign up, or somebody might not be approving you, or you might have weird ghosts inside your computer and you have to destroy it with a wizard's spell.
That was the first time I've actually thought about somebody signing up for Facebook. I just assume people always have.
We got an email saying hey, I couldn't get in the group and I signed up for Facebook just for this.
Yeah, also said Goldfarb's cute. Yeah, right.
Oh yeah, one of the emails said you were cute.
Not ticklish.
I don't get the emails.
You're not
I never get the emails.
Well, Goldfarb doesn't
some of
get
them
the
are mean.
emails.
Some of them are real nice. I forward you the compliments.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
I thought you'd be a jittery fellow with the tickles.
No, he's a toucher.
Nah, that's weird. Like a side of beef.
Anyway, David Lara says, do any of you guys collect classic games? If so, how big are your collections?
I wish. I don't have room in my apartment.
I did for a while.
I sold mine when the first time I moved to San Francisco.
Yeah.
I sold
I
most of my DVDs, Blu-rays.
I don't collect games. I still have all my old Super Nintendo games and N64 and PS1. I never really sold my games, but I don't actively go to collect things.
I had a huge collection of PS1, PS2, PS3, PSP. I also, for a while, was collecting original Game Boy and Game Boy Color games and buying the blank 3DS game cases, game cases, and putting them in. And there was this company or this site called, what was it called? It was called the Cover Project or something like that. And they were printing custom
cover art for
all of them for games that never got hard cases. So it was awesome because you could walk into my apartment at the time and just see a row of games that never got cases.
That's so cool.
But yeah, I got rid of them all when I moved here, and I'm mostly digital with stuff now.
Yeah, same. San Francisco, the space is too expensive.
Yeah.
I don't do I do old comics and I do records, but games, I think it's just the thing is with records, you got like you get one machine and you're gonna play from 40 years
Forever.
ago.
Yeah.
With games, you get like we were just talking about how the PS3. If I want to play a PlayStation Plus game, I got to go dig it out of storage.
Yeah.
The game machines haven't gotten smaller. They kind of have, but not really.
Yeah.
Which side note, have you guys messed with PlayStation Now at all?
Yeah, we actually talked about that. I think
Marty and I
ago.
did a Let's Play with it.
I'm
awesome
floored at
the library,
at how that works.
Yeah.
I don't like that is amazing.
Yeah,
to
we
me.
went to play Journey and it just worked totally fine.
Yeah, I mean, I downloaded Resident Evil 4 the other day, the PS3 version, which I believe was the HD remake.
Yes.
And I had a lot of issues with the controls. Like, I don't know if that's something I'll be able to go in and toy around with. But the idea of it being like, want to play Resident Evil 4? Cool, here it is. It's on your dashboard.
Yeah. You're like, oh, this is
it's on your bar in a minute.
Yeah.
I want to give a quick shout out to a store called The Game Zone in Hillsdale, New Jersey. I randomly stumbled upon it when I was home seeing my family a couple weeks ago. It is an awesome, gigantic retro video game store full of. It's compartmentalized by section. I haven't seen a store like this since I was in Tokyo. And it's just like if you want PS2, if you want PS1, if you want N64, there's an entire section to each one. They sell tons of old games, so shout out to those guys. It's really cool.
Support those guys.
Yeah.
Cool. Even if you don't collect a whole bunch of old games, go buy a favorite.
Yeah, go buy some stuff.
I'm so happy those shops can still exist.
Yeah.
Dude.
I walked into it
away.
like, what?
Yeah.
A buddy of mine got me a box copy of Secret of Evermore for Super Nintendo,
that's awesome.
which is one of my favorite games ever. And
go get like a
just
box
having
copy of
that
one of your
is-
favorite games and like frame it.
Yeah.
That'd be a cool thing.
Yeah, make it a special thing.
Jacob Collier says, thoughts on Mexican food?
Delicious.
A+.
It's real good.
Yeah, Mexican food's amazing.
Perfect.
It's the further you get from California and Mexico, the worse it gets. But
Yeah.
yeah, real good. We all live in California. You kind of have to like it.
And that was one nice thing about
don't order a burrito in New York.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like you can. So that's my thing, right? I feel like the thing about New York and San Francisco is you can any kind of food you want, no matter what it is, you can find really good food.
Yeah.
The difference is in San Francisco, if you pop into any random Mexican food place, it's probably going to be pretty good.
Yeah.
And the same is true in New York for bagels and pizza.
For pizza, yeah.
But, odds are you're not going to find the random Mexican food place you walk into isn't going to be great. Same thing here for
Yeah,
pizza.
we all saw Mastodon. We know what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, Mexican
Well
food's awesome.
Shout out to Aziz Ansari, friend of the show.
Yep.
The
and
one-
Anthony
and
Gallegos, friend of the
Randy.
show.
Yeah.
Mexican friend of the show.
The
Why
one
is
nice
everyone
thing-
laugh? That's what he is.
The one nice thing about
He's
being in
Mexican friend of
Texas
the
as
show.
opposed to California was I could still get good Mexican food in Texas.
Right. Leonardo Talavera
Cowabunga.
says,
Talavera.
if you could replace the Vuvuzela death rattle from Uncharted with any other sound effect, which one would it be?
What if the Vuvuzela noise is what Nathan Drake, the noise he makes when he reaches the cool finish of sex?
Wow.
I would the cool finish of sex.
Yeah.
Yep.
That's
Wow.
one of my
Le
top five.
petit mort.
That's one of my
orgasm.
top 5 parts of sex.
Wow.
Yep.
I'd replace it with just the loudest, wettest fart noise.
Yeah.
So when Nate falls off a cliff, it's like.
I would replace it with-
"Aw."
I would replace it with
replace it with-
Sully just laughing.
Yeah, I was going to say Sully going, good, I hate that guy.
Or just like, oh, dang.
Paulo Villanueva says, favorite city to visit outside of the United States? Man, Paris was incredible and Tokyo is awesome. I'm going back there.
I really want to go to Tokyo. London, I love London.
Yeah.
I was
I've
there a
never
few times
been-
last
been
year.
there.
And it's awesome.
You guys have been to Germany, right?
Like, yeah.
Yeah, I've been
not
to
a city.
Munich,
Cologne.
Frankfurt, and Cologne. Yeah,
I went to Cologne. Cologne. I want to see other parts of Germany. I think I might be going to Berlin. Maybe. I don't know. I got the sense that like Cologne is it got bombed to hell in World War II, so it's relatively new as far as European stuff goes.
Well, and you didn't really
Yeah.
get to see. So
Yeah.
the part by the cathedral
Right.
is very like touristy Cologne, whereas a couple years ago, Scott and Colin and I walked like way out to like the part of Cologne. It almost feels like a college town because it is a college town, and it's like it felt like Boston. Like it was just like a really cool. And that was like away from the part where everybody speaks English. Like I like going to when I've been to Europe. I like going to places where it doesn't feel like touristy and they're not just catering to speaking English and all of that.
Yeah.
I left the country for the first time the year before last, and I've been to Tokyo and Germany and Vietnam twice. And
Yeah.
I like Tokyo, but there's I really want to go to London. I want to go to Scotland.
Luckily for work, I've been able to go to Tokyo. It's been amazing. I love Montreal and I love Krakow.
Ooh,
Shout out to Poland.
Barcelona is a phenomenal city.
I really want to go
That
to
place is-
Barcelona. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's on my
Gotta
list.
Yeah, very cool. You got to stay
I-
away from the tourist stuff, though. And don't hold your phone out. Put your money in your phone pocket.
I loved Melbourne. I would love to get back to Australia. I mean, that flight was killer, but I really, really enjoyed my time in Australia.
Shout out to Alana, Australia.
That's right. She's the official representative of Australia.
She's one of the 7 people that has survived that country.
Australian friend of the show.
Yeah. Ryan Campbell says, IGN catches fire and you're evacuating. What is the one trinket at your desk you grab?
Sideshow Boba Fett.
My laptop.
Yeah, problem.
Oh yeah, because your album's on it, right?
I mean, it's backed up too, but yeah.
Yeah.
What about not the laptop? What
I hate going to the Genius Bar.
I don't know. What do I don't know. I don't like any of the things.
I have a Japanese box copy of Link's Awakening that's still sealed on my desk. That'd be one of them. I'm part of when you read that story about all the retro stores in Japan going under because there's no games left in them because pasty, pudgy American boys come in there, buy up all the games, and then never sell them or bring them back and keep them on their desks. Mm-hmm. That's my fault. I'm part of that problem. So yeah, I'd grab one of those.
I have a sign that says "One Up Review Crew."
Really?
Yeah. I was a One Up Review Crew man.
I have some real cool plush Koromaru toys from Persona 3.
Mm-hmm. Would you leave some of the dogs behind in order to save the big dog?
Yeah, I guess.
Okay. Also, I have a bunch of Star Wars toys that were mine.
Yeah, as a
kid, like Return of the Jedi toys that I got when I was.
I like this Doomsday situation where you can pick up like this toy that's 3 inches tall, but not this toy that's 3 inches tall.
I usually keep a bunch of garbage bags by my desk just in case
of this happens. In case of fire.
So I just would probably pull all my Boba Fett's and action figures in the bag and just run out of there. And I'm real close to fire escape.
Like
for me, it's more like which collection would I preserve, and for me, like it's all my Persona crap. I would assume for you, it's all your Star Wars crap.
Yeah, definitely.
It's not crap.
So if you would like to see pictures of all of our toy collections, you can do that real easily. We're all on Twitter. It's a cool website for saying really short things and getting in sort of constipated little arguments with people you've never met before. I'm Max Scoville. Marty is McBiggity with 2 G's and 2 T's.
Sir.
Brian is Agent Bizzle. And Andrew Goldfarb is Garfield on Twitter. You have blocked me. Garfep.
Oh yeah, you are blocked by Garfield.
I'm blocked by Nickelback and Garfield, so I like to feel that I've sort of prestiged that
made
website.
It. Yeah.
You're at Gino Goldenrod.
Yeah, Cisco follows me, and Nickelback and Garfield block me. So shout out to Cisco. Thank you for listening.
Thanks, Cisco.
Thank you, Cisco.
Garfield and Nickelback eats true. Terrible cat and band. Thank you so much for listening. We have fun doing this. We'll be back next week with more lies and legends, as we like to call them.
Watch up at noon on Thursdays, every Thursday at noon on IGN, starring Max Scoville and Brian Altano. We're going to do a great show.
Yep.
Bye, guys.
Bye.
Good night.
Bye.